Hello, everyone, and welcome to the 2021 Memorial Championship presented by Discraft. We're here for a little bonus action. We've got the MP40 lead card. Of course, we're out at the Shelly Sharpe Disc Golf Course, and Pete Ulibarri is joining me yet again. Pete, we keep bringing you back, and now we get to feature you. Here we are on hole number 1 at Vista.
Awesome. What a privilege. We're going to fly through here. There's a triple Mando, about 285 feet maybe, and the landing zone's here right in this shadow. You can slip under the tree and still be in the circle. So let's see what we got going.
Coming up short and sliding to the circle is usually the best play because, of course, the ground is very dry and very fast around here.
Yeah, very slick greens.
And here we are with our leader in Shasta Criss. He sits at 14 under. You're 2 back. Steve Rico right on your heels, and then a little breathing room before Justin McLuen.
Mm-hmm. Shasta's shot here.
A little bit short, but skips right up into the shadow and inside the circle putt.
Shasta's been playing very well. He's had a very consistent start to the season.
Yeah, he's mustered up a 2-stroke lead coming into this final round and looks a little short and left. Were you nervous?
I made the Mando. the biggest ticket on this first starting hole with nerves and not being on lead card with Stevie right behind you. You just make the Mando.
Of course, good friend of mine as well in Steve Rico, one of the greats and the legends of the game. And deep of the pin by 30, 35 maybe?
Something like that, I think. He just made the Mando.
And out of Iowa, a gentleman I've probably seen more than you throughout my playing career, Justin McLuen, somehow sneaking through the crotch of that tree. But Justin here finding himself on the 4th spot on this lead card.
Yeah, he had a good round to keep himself or get himself up there. And see Stevie. He like you said, he's edge of circle.
A little bit low to get things started. Now you guys are teeing off at about 10:30 maybe or so? 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock?
Yeah, I think this teed off right at 9:45. Shasta just a bit short. The earlier tee time this week lent itself to a bit more wind, so it's challenging.
You've got a obstructed straddle, and you like it, a little fist pump.
Yeah, it's nice to start off this hole with a birdie. It's short enough, and you just so many tournaments I've started off with kind of like a 3-putt bogey or something silly. Nerves, so wrangling them in on this one.
What gets you more jacked, the birdie or a cup of coffee? Because you looked super excited.
Birdies, man. Birdies for breakfast.
And Justin taps in, and now to be very clear, also first time my buddy Dustin has covered Justin, and Justin gets up and throws. So there's a few times where I think we're going to cut in at the last moment, just barely catching his throw. He doesn't mess around, which, by the way, I love that style.
Yeah, he just gets it done.
So right away, you get 1 stroke closer to our leader in Shasta, and we head to hole 2.
Hole 2, 367 feet, 69 feet. Pretty much throw a hyzer. You can get out here towards the right, towards the fence, let the ground feed the disc in, or you can play a much straighter shot and just fire directly at the pin. Like I said, everything except for this little patch on the right-hand side by the basket has a little bit thicker grass. Everything else is just icy fast. I think I'm throwing a nuke here. Just decided, well, let's try and let that grass back there grab it.
A little bit of finish. You would have loved a little bit more of a skip or a flare to that, but that'll work.
It was really, I think, just playing just to be safe. Don't get excited and grip lock it over the fence or do something silly.
Shasta pulls his to the right and not quite enough power or skip there to feed to the pin, as you're saying.
Yeah.
And if this gets a little skip.
Stevie does what he does.
Yeah, great shot.
Like you said, just as off and quick.
Yeah, he just gets up and throws, which I cannot say enough about that style in general. I'm a relatively fast player, so although it can be a little bit tougher to film, it's great when someone just gets up and fires. And from that position, sorry, I was just going to say from that position, there's nothing but a layup from that side, right?
Correct. This early in the round, too, there's no reason to go burning past the basket. And here's 25 feet. Just making sure I'm going to focus and get it in the basket. I want to make it. Out of the hand anew.
Yeah, great start for you. Back-to-back birdies. And just like that, you're going to tie it up with our leader in Shasta.
Yeah, that's nice.
Immediately erasing a 2-stroke deficit.
Which I couldn't do the previous rounds. Shasta's playing really well. And Stevie also, like, you know, you've seen Steve, everybody's seen Steve play for years and years and years, and he's relentless.
Well, in the 2020 version of the Memorial, we saw him take it to a playoff. You guys should definitely go check out that action. If he doesn't make one of the most clutch putts you've ever seen in disc golf history in that playoff, I don't know what you want. So I won't spoil it, but go watch that playoff from last year.
It was fantastic.
And here we are moving over to hole 3. Big shout out to my disc in a box. If you need any of your discs shipped, reach out to me.
Once again, straight shot here at 360 feet. You can throw a hyzer out towards the fence, barely beat this building, and let it slide down under these trees right here to get inside the circle. It slants slightly right to left, and so if your angle control isn't right, it will take off and run out of the circle really fast.
If you could do a carbon copy of a park job from the previous hole, that's what you want to apply. Copy and paste right here to this hole.
Exactly.
The shots are almost identical, and you have a nearly identical result.
Yeah, I pulled out the carbon paper. I laid it underneath my feet, and I gave it my very best chance at it.
You got out your stencils and and everything else. I like it. Here's Rico playing it out to the exact same position, asking for it to go. He gets the skip. Now, I want to quickly address everyone that it might be new to watching these. You have the option on almost all of the tees to tee either to the right or to the left. If there's a little whisker, that means you can use the natural tee area, as the cement tees are a little bit slick. So if you see someone and you're wondering why in the world are they not throwing from the tee, like right here, that's the reason. 100% approved and actually quite typical here at this event.
Yeah, Vista's tees after traffic can get very slick. And if I had thought earlier on the previous holes that the door was going to swing wide open, these guys made sure to say, no, we're going to come play golf too with you. They threw some great shots to this basket. And Steve with a big putt there.
Yeah, he gets 2 out of the last 2. Hanging right there. He's at the 13 under. Shasta, the only one to not play the straight hyzer, out of the 4 of you. He kind of went with that flex shot, which maybe okay to do when the winds are what they were, but if the wind picks up, that's a much tougher line for him to take.
For sure. Shasta does throw that shot really well. He likes to lean on that slight flex, at least as I've seen in the past, if he can. And Justin going to clean up with CTP. Yeah,
it looks like it's... are you guys just doing flow of play? It looks pretty close between the 2 of you, whether he's closer or you are.
Let's go with that.
Yeah, flow play. We'll go with that. I mean,
I forgot. I didn't see myself play there.
yeah, I mean, if it can't be much that the two of you were different.
I think it was just flow. Right here, I'm just thinking they made it. Just put it in the basket.
Yeah, when you're that close, you certainly don't want to ruin the star frame. So all 4 of you with birdies, and that keeps you all knotted up for the lead. But great start, 3 for 3. Now here's hole 4.
Hole 4, 281 feet. Our pine tree in the middle here is kind of the make or break of the hole. You're going to beat it to the right. Some guys will throw a little low line skipper under it or right in front of it and try and get up here into the green. There's OB to the left hand side, and about middle pin high on the right hand side on the hill there's a OB line. So just don't push those edges and you'll be okay. I think for here the main thought is beat the tree, but if you make a mistake into the tree so that nothing goes out of bounds. That's kind of my thought here. Like, this has been the crux of my game on this most of the time.
A good shot, albeit maybe just a little light on power.
Yeah. Stevie puts a bit of power on that one.
Yeah, and he finishes on the left side, just barely in bounds. Justin's going to go right up the middle like you were talking about, looking for a straight skip.
It's burning. It needs to slow down.
Yeah, unfortunately, just too much edge on that.
Shasta with the shot.
Oh, no. Yeah. It looks so good. Yeah, it looks so good. Like, all it needed to do is just finish, and gets caught up by a couple of those light little branches.
So he's got about a 100-foot approach, 130 feet. Shasta's a veteran, though. That's I mean, especially here at Vista, that you just get up and down from those.
Stevie from circle 2 just nicks the top of the basket there. So here you are, you're lining up, looks like about 42, maybe 45 feet, and 3 for 3 to get started. You've got to be feeling good.
Yeah. 4 for 4 would be really nice.
Oh. Online, just too much power.
Yeah. Don't want to hit them low.
Yeah.
Don't want to hit them high either, but
and
Justin just a little off.
Yeah, that was for him to save his par. You can see he's a couple feet out of bounds. So now he's coming back with this putt for bogey, and that one finds the chains. And was there a cool-off zone between 3 and 4? All 3 of you birdie, and then you move over to 4, and maybe it's that tree. We'll blame that tree.
The tree. It's this, as far as the Heiser Olympics of this first couple holes, it's the hardest of them. You really have to beat that pine tree. And as you can see, the ground here is just rock solid. So anything just inside, if you're going high or if you're running the low skip, it can just chase out of bounds. So you have to have that spike angle and beat that tree. So for this hole, I just want to get around it. I don't want to. I've thrown it out of bounds left too many times in the past.
Well, you remain tied at 15 under, and again, Steve Rico just right off the pace, but with 2. Here we are on 5.
Let's roll up the fairway. Mando on this little left tree here. Pine tree, there's a Mando. So we have to fly straight down through the center. Anywhere in the shadow of these trees are great. Fun hole. I like playing this hole. It's fun to throw just a straight shot.
Yeah, we've seen 3 opportunities at Heiser, and now because of that Mando on the right side, you have to throw it straighter than the previous 4 holes.
Yeah, and that one I didn't quite get over on it. Slightly tentative. We're
seeing and hearing a little bit of wind that's coming kind of from like the 10 o'clock position. It looks like a little bit in your face, almost a little left to right, as we just saw on Stevie's shirt, actually.
Yeah. So also being tentative because you don't want to burn it and miss the mando on the right. So let's see what Shasta's got. Shasta through the DGA hovercraft.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense.
I don't think that's a disc, guys, but no, he threw a low skip shot, and this here is a really nice shot. I think it might be slightly long though.
Yeah, I was gonna say that's the one challenge of going past this basket is bringing those 2 trees that we see off in the screen, bringing those into play. Oh, come on.
Yeah.
Come on, look at that. Little straddle jumper from circle 2.
That felt good. This is the point where I kind of thought, well, I'm making putts. It's kind of on. Let's just keep going.
They ask you to direct traffic. Stevie comes over, says great putt. And Justin had gone long, like we said, and actually those trees completely pinch off any look at a birdie putt.
Yeah. Out of the hand off the tee, it looked like it was going to be just even with the tree. Like you said, once you get behind those trees, it makes it very challenging.
Shasta, even with the high leg kick, not able to draw that one in. Here's Rico from about the same distance. So fair to say, Pete, the play here is you want to be short of this pin, because anywhere deep is going to likely bring those trees into play, even 10 or 15 feet. Now, Shasta and Steve are deep of the pin, but they happen to be perfectly, splitting those trees. But in general, short is good on this hole.
Correct. It opens it up. Like you said, anything to the right, to the left, that's a little past the pin height. Those branches just hang low enough that with the elevated pin, it becomes quite a challenge. And there's several of these little branches that hang down that you really don't see, so you have to really study your putt line, because I've seen a lot of putts that get thrown and they just catch one of those little things you don't see, and they break your heart.
Well, right now you're breaking the scorecard, starting out really well. 4 out of the first 5. You go from a 2-stroke deficit to now a 1-stroke advantage, and we're moving on to the first par 4 of the round.
First par 4, 783 feet. There's a string line that runs to the to the left side of this fairway. Right side further right becomes a string line once you come along the apartments. It narrows down into this green, 30 feet deep is OB, and seems pretty easy to just keep it in the fairway off the first shot, but it gets a lot tighter once you have to get to your second shot. At least where we're going to probably land, it's tighter to decide the shots you want to throw.
And it doesn't look like you're biting off too much there. I mean, it was a good pull. You're in good position. But if you try and bite off too much, I think it's really easy to find yourself getting punished with an OB line. That's a great drive by Rico.
Absolutely good drive. He's really in position to score on the hole right now. I think he's probably got my shot by 40 or 50 feet. I was really just trying to play safe. Oftentimes a good play would be to throw a roller on this. The level where Stevie landed is just a little past where the OB starts on the right. So if any shot gets pulled, let's see what Shasta's shot does here.
He's asking for it to stand up, and well, I guess can it fight back?
It's got a long road back.
Oh no. Not only does it have a long road back, but then it all of a sudden takes a right turn and says, no, I'm definitely not coming back for you. So that's going to be OB for Shasta.
It's definitely not even the side I would have thought when he threw the roller that OB would come into play. Threw it with a lot of cut, and it just took a funny bounce.
And there's
Justin's
another.
throwing. Go ahead.
I was just gonna say, there's another tip. Look how Justin really sets himself up, to make sure he accentuates that turnover, and in this case, a turnover roller.
And if you're gonna throw a roller well, this is the roller you want to throw. That just opened up a whole world of opportunity for his next shot.
We'll shout out the Bushnell 850. Do you remember what the distance was?
365, I think. Let's go with that number. It might have been 380, and with the hyzer, I didn't know how much I really wanted to push. So I took out my force, just thought, well, I'll throw it so I don't miss to the right, and I'll take whatever I get. So if I get a putt at it, great. I was definitely really far back. Now that I think of it, it's probably closer to 400 because I didn't advance up the fairway very far off my first shot. So position play.
Yeah, there's nothing wrong with a 4 here. We know this plays as one of the toughest holes on the course statistically. And Shasta's trying to find a way to get back up and down. And that's going to be a little bit short and right, but not a bad shot from where he was last in bounds.
Yeah, he also went out of bounds near where I landed, just slightly forward of it. On this hole, you'd rather make yourself take a 4 than be forced to take it by throwing out of bounds. Somehow the choice in the matter has a little softer feel to it.
And Steve had set himself up in a great position, playing the hyzer. He had the forehand if he wanted it, but played the hyzer, and he's going to be a little bit short and left with a putt to the elevated pin.
Justin going with the anhyzer. Putter, I believe.
Oh, incredible.
It tells you how far down the fairway he was also. He really, I'll bet you he had 280 to the pin. Where is that?
Yeah, huge crush. And at this point, obviously you're relegated to saying, hey, I'm just looking to get up and down, walk away with a par, and move on.
Exactly. Shasta just getting his layup. Just get up and down, take a bogey, and be done with it. Don't ever add extra strokes if you can help it.
Yeah, there's a little bit of a, usually a ego check of like, hey, you're trying to make some magic happen after you've made a mistake. But, far too often that turns into turning a bogey into a double bogey instead of just taking your medicine. Here you are for par.
Here's the par. I wanted to just park it, and I pulled it over just a little bit to the right. But I'm putting well. So
that's what I was just going to follow it up with. Your putting stroke looks firm, confident. You've got to be feeling good.
Definitely feeling good. Justin's looking at birdie here. So this is him to get himself a stroke on the card. And he does. It's a great putt. It was a great hole the whole way for him. He threw a great roller, good up shot. Puts it in for birdie. Stevie cleaning up. Shasta, one of the nicest guys you'll meet, man. He's so genuine and kind. It's really fun to play with him on the card when I get a chance to.
Well, right now you're kindly scooting past him. You've got a 2-stroke advantage. We head to the next par 4 after a long walk.
Par 4, like you said, 300 feet from here to the pin. It's 645 feet. It's just hyzer. There's a Mando on the left to keep people from going in the street. So position play, and then just throw a stock shot to the basket from there. It's a good shot.
Yeah, that's exactly where you want to be. I mean, obviously a little bit more distance doesn't hurt, but in terms of position, he's exactly where you want to be, and it appears that you agree with that and say, okay, I'll land pretty close to you.
I really do agree with it. In years past, I've pushed the shot too hard, gone out of bounds, forced OB strokes, And I've learned since that if I just throw 300 feet, there's 300 feet after, 330 feet. It's a pretty two stock shots that I don't have to get in trouble with.
Yeah, and Steve, you see pushing a little bit more distance, but also that flare is going to pinch him, stymie him up on that left side to make his approach more difficult than what the other three of you have.
Correct. And Shasta throws a really good shot there. But Stevie, like you said, he's going to have to negotiate around that Mando down the fairway, and that's going to, besides being in the trees, it's going to, like you said, he's going to have to work some magic.
And throughout the weekend in any division, this is usually, as you get right around the Mando perfectly, looking at a putt, this is usually one of the easier holes on the course. Like you said, it's two very basic shots, and then just make your putt. There's just not much to this hole. So you really don't want to miss this one.
You don't want to miss it. Like I said, the big challenge is just don't overthink it. Too easy to overthink.
Also, to put it in perspective, you know, we talked in the MPO rounds about that sidewalk up and to the right that you just barely see. You know, that's another 80 or 100, maybe a little more than that sometimes you see huge crushes get to. But
yeah,
unnecessary. You know, I mean, again, the distance doesn't hurt you, but it's not necessary either to take the birdie.
Correct. It's really good for the camera. Or I should say for people to watch. What I found is the further down I throw, the more uncomfortable I get with the approach. I'd rather just throw a 300-foot spike on it.
So now in years past, Steve's would be able to just go straight at the pin, but because of that Mando, he's playing that wide shot, plays the skip, checks up, and then he's circles edge.
Correct. That's and he pulls it off.
And it's funny to hear someone on the card say good save. I think it was Justin, you know, good save for birdie, because he was actually had to work a little bit harder than the rest of you.
Like you said, the shot he had to throw from the trees, it was a bit more technical. You have to depend on a disc to skip. You have to know that disc well enough to catch the right edge and run it around. And so then he capitalized by making his putt.
Justin, he doesn't love his effort. I think that's the best way to put that.
Yeah.
Here you are, knowing that Shasta's likely picking up a birdie as well. Steve already in for birdie.
Just make it.
No big deal.
Feels good. It feels good when the putter comes alive, and you just know for the day that it's going to be okay.
Yeah, and I go all the way back to hole one, you know, making that straddle with a little obstruction and you know, picking up a stroke on the entire card. You know, talk about a confidence boost, you know, just to get your round started.
Yeah, that felt really good. Shasta's in. We'll let Justin come over here and clean up.
Interesting to note, all four of you, not really proficient forehanders, with maybe the exception of Rico.
For sure. Rico's got a decent one. I've been up and down with one over the years. A recent, no. Shoulder problems and stuff, kind of. I mean, we are the MP40 division, so there's little things that creep in and
and do not, you know, I hope no one's taking that as an insult. I'm just really pointing out that, you know, Steve can go to one, and Steve is a good forehander, but just we've yet to see one out of any of the four of you, with maybe one exception by Steve thus far, and just proving that you guys don't necessarily rely on them at this point.
It's not a tool to lean on for me. It's a get out of trouble free card.
Okay, yeah, that's a great way to put it, but it doesn't matter. You've got the lead. You're going downhill on 8, 360, about 300 to clear the water. And you've got a mid?
Got a buzz, yes. Star Wars buzz. I only know that because it's got Star Wars printed on it. Otherwise, it's just a buzz, and I throw it right there, and that is as good as I could ever hope it to be.
We hear the big sigh as you walk off the back of the tee. I would exchange that for a yippee or a clap. That was so perfect.
Inside, that's exactly what it was. Stevie's going hyzer.
Wow. Oh,
And
oh,
right.
yeah. What a. I don't want to say unnecessary. I'm not second guessing Steve Rico, but he's got that shot up over the water all day long too. Like I'm just surprised to see that.
Yeah. If you look down here at the water, you'll see that half of it is glassy and half of it has ripples on it. And that tells you that we have some air movement. So like one of my big sighs of relief was I could feel the air moving in our face, but I could see down the fairway, halfway down, that the air was calm. So we had a little bit of thermal action pulling on us. And so I just trusted that my disc was going to flip, and once it got flipped, it was going to ride out without trouble. But if I see all the water moving, I really do consider what Steve did and throw a hyzer, because I just don't like messing with the mid-range up the middle fighting a headwind. Shasta's shot, it went off to the right, if I'm correct.
Yeah, and here's Justin, who seemed to switch it up at the last moment. He's going to play a little bit of a turn. And, nice. Off the top of the pin, it just smacks the band and stops.
It's a nice shot. That would have been exciting. Oh.
Perfect shot. He's parked. You're parked. Shasta needs to get this just to remain within two of you.
It's not quite feeling the putt at the moment. It's probably a little stressed, It's tough, man. It's tough when you get out and you have the lead and then some things just aren't quite clicking right off.
Well, and also to be fair, the guys chasing him in the caliber that you and Steve are, you're what, 4 under through the first 6 hole, or I'm sorry, 5 through the first 7, and trying to rack up yet another birdie as Steve just does.
Yeah.
He can feel you breathing down his neck.
Yeah, for sure. Thing is, when Steve starts breathing down your neck, it's a terrifying thing, because he can become, like I said, he can become so relentless. I didn't mean that to sound in a funny way either. It was
no, at least you didn't make the joke he's got to stand on a stool to breathe down your neck. Like, that's the joke. That's where I would have went with that.
Oh yeah, it wasn't in my thought process.
Oh,
I was thinking of just the stress of knowing that Steve at any moment, like, you have to keep going because Steve isn't going to miss.
You guys shouldn't miss any Double G craft jerky. Make sure you're putting comments below, because I'm giving away some jerky and some Frisbees. But here we are on 9, the last hole of the front 9. It's almost
hardest par 3. Yeah. Yes.
Come on.
I play safe to the right. A lot of guys will go straight up the gut, cover a lot of water before they come to land, or throw like a turnover hyzer across that little saddle in the trees that you see. At this position, I know that I've got the lead. I'm going to just throw a hyzer and make sure I cover all of the land. I don't want anything to do with out of bounds.
Did you throw that in round 3? Did you go that same route?
I believe I did. I don't remember my memory banks right now. I either did that shot or I threw it straight up the gut and went OB in the water because I missed. So
Steve's going to get a little more aggressive, pushes that one out, and finally it lands kind of on that right side, but he's still, he's not in much better of a position than you are, and his shot was far more difficult.
It was quite technical comparably.
Justin turns his over. We'll see where that finally comes to rest. And yeah, again, he's a little closer. Not a big payoff there. So here's the pro tip, folks. Play this for a 3. Every You are going to gain strokes on the field, no matter what field you're in. You're going to gain strokes if you take a 3 on this hole from this tee position.
If you take a 3, you're gaining 1 to 2 strokes easily on the field. That's the difference. And exactly what Shasta does has typically been one of my plays is I'll throw something up the middle there, let it skip. But I tend to get greedy and aggressive and try and skip way down there. And there's no need for it. Where Shasta's going from is going to be about a 300-foot, 280 to 300-foot little approach shot. And I mean, we say little, but Shasta's really good at that. He's really good at those distances.
Yeah, and I'll double down and say whatever your route is, whether it's up the middle, it's playing out high and wide, or playing like Steve or you know what we saw from Justin. Whatever the case is, just play it for a 3, and you'll be fine.
Exactly.
You've got a great approach. Steve's approach is easier, so that I guess that would be the payoff. But he's still just looking at a 3. Oh,
balk.
Yeah, faking us out. I think there's a little distraction on the sidewalk to the right of him.
That happens a lot here. You get little kids with the bells on their bicycles, ding, ding, ding. Or
Justin,
is he going to run this?
Well, he's closest to the pin and has the most obstructed view. And just a little pitch up to the pin.
Yeah.
So spoiler, not so spoiler, there were 0 2s on this in the MP40 division during this final round. It was a cut field, but there were 0 2s.
And like you said, I think if you looked at the MPO field, there's very few 2s on it.
Yeah, during this round, I'll just say there were just a couple of them. You're right.
So take a tip from the Masters guys. We may be a little bit older than the young guns, but
3 is perfectly fine here on hole 9. For another day, we'll talk about how both at Vista and out at Fountain, hole 9 seems to be the toughest par 3 on the course. That's kind of just an interesting side note when you look at this event. So we're going to wrap things up. Pete, I'm going to let you go, but we're excited to see how this finishes out. You've got a 3-stroke advantage over Shasta and Rico. Super exciting battle. We've got plenty to go in the back. Here's how things look for this round. You're 6 under through the front 9, and you seem to be on a heater. We'll see if you can maintain as we look at the chase card. No one's chasing hard enough at the moment, so we're going to have a leader and then a winner come off of this lead card. I promise you guys that. Like, share, and subscribe. We'll see you guys for the back 9 here at the 2021 Memorial Championship.
See ya.